Welcome to the Disney Wedding Podcast. This show is brought to you by Carrie Hayward's Fairy Tale Weddings Guide, the only guidebook and bridal organizer tailored exclusively to Disney's fairy tale weddings at Walt Disney World. I'm Carrie Hayward, and each week I feature Disney wedding updates, money-saving tips, and interviews with wedding vendors and real Disney couples. I also cover honeymoons, anniversaries, and engagements at the Disney parks and resorts. Join me now as the Disney Wedding Podcast celebrates romance at Disney destinations. Today on the Disney Wedding Podcast, I am speaking with Disney bride Emily Jung about her ceremony at the Wedding Pavilion with a reception at the BoardWalk Promenade Ballrooms and a welcome party at EPCOT. I thought you guys would be interested to hear how she chose these locations and how she planned everything and how it all turned out. So welcome, Emily.
Hi, Carrie. Thank you.
Thanks for being on the show today. I always like to start at the very beginning and find out how you guys decided you wanted to have your wedding at Disney.
It's actually kind of a funny story. I got engaged the weekend of Thanksgiving, and a lot of my family was in town for that. And my mom and I were just kind of spitballing venue ideas, and a lot of them were in Wisconsin, where we had just moved from. But I made a bet with her and said, hey, if your wedding dress had sleeves, could I have a Disney wedding? Because it's always been a debate in our family if her wedding dress had sleeves or not. And she swears her wedding dress does not have sleeves. And I know her dress had sleeves. So my aunt was like, yeah, make the bet, Jane. That's my mom's name. And she did. And we pull up a photo of her wedding dress, and sure enough, she had sleeves. So I got my Disney wedding because of that. But realistically, like, we grew up going to Disney. We love Disney. That seemed like the obvious choice after thinking about different venues. And I'm just glad they agreed with us.
So then how did your friends and family react when they found out that's where the wedding was going to be?
Immediate family was really, really excited. Like I said, we grew up going there, and it's always been such a special place for our family. And as Michael and I have grown in our relationship, it's become a really special place for us. So it was cool to show the people that have never been there, like our friends, how we do Disney, why we love Disney. And I think we sold a lot of them on that.
How many guests did you invite and how many were able to make the trip?
We had 180 invites sent out. I looked at the knot earlier, and that's what that said, but 143 ended up being able to make it. So a good chunk for most people coming from Wisconsin or out of state.
Wow. Did you set up a room block for your guests?
Yeah, we did. I know a lot of people worry about the room block, but we just figured with our group it was the most convenient option because we didn't have to do much planning on our end, and it helped our guests be informed with what they needed to know. We gave them welcome bags, and that if they were in the room block, they got the welcome bag. So we picked BoardWalk for our deluxe resort because that's my husband and I's favorite resort, and growing up, that has always been my favorite. We also loved it because it was right next to our reception venue. So if people were done with the night afterwards, they could go back. And we also had an unofficial party at Jelly Rolls after. So everyone kind of made their way that way afterwards. And if they were staying at BoardWalk, they could just quickly go home. Otherwise, we picked for our moderate in value Caribbean Beach and Pop Century because of the Skyliner access. For our welcome party, we had everyone meet in the back of EPCOT, and it helped with transportation. We didn't have to take care of providing buses that day as well as Saturday. It was just Saturday we were dealing with the bus transportation, and it gave people the opportunity to ride the Skyliner that were wanting to do that.
Got it. How did you choose the day of the week and time of day for your event?
We knew we wanted Saturday for sure, just because that's the day most people have off of work and everyone would be available for that pretty much. But otherwise, we knew we wanted winter because, like I said, our guest list is mainly Wisconsin, and they only have like 3 months of summer in their schedule. So I didn't want to take them away in the summer to bring them to the blistering heat. And I also talked to the Disney wedding representative, Joe, and he mentioned that the weekend before we picked and the weekend after were both Run Disney events or heavy cheerleader weekends. So we were like, oh, we'll avoid that. We'll go right in the middle there. And we also didn't want to be by Christmas. So we figured last weekend of January sounds like a good weekend to us.
How did you choose the time of day?
I was fine with 2:30 or 5:30. I know they make you pick like three options. So we were fine with either of those. I liked the 2:30 idea though, because the reception would be over at 8:30. So since we wanted to do that late night jelly rolls idea, it helped everybody move from that location seamlessly over to jelly rolls that wanted to, and the people that had been going all day, like our older friends and the children could just like head to bed afterwards and it would be a decently early night for them.
Now, how did you choose your ceremony and reception venues?
I chose the ceremony venue because we went to two or three of those open house dates, and I knew, like, looking on Pinterest and stuff, that the wedding pavilion really spoke to me. I liked the idea that it felt like a church, but still was on Disney property. I also didn't feel like waking up super early or staying up super late to do an in the park wedding, even though those are so cool. I just loved the pavilion and how it looked. And when we went and saw it and saw the organ player playing the music and the violinist, it just really, really sold it to us. And then for our reception, the ballrooms just made sense because of the location and the proximity. Our wedding guests were on the dance floor the whole night, so we just thought it would just make sense to have it at the ballrooms.
Also, you're kind of limited when you have a guest list that large. There aren't a lot of venues that will fit.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. Because the guest list was so large, we really only could pick a few, and I felt like we could do a lot in that room. And since we had so much floral in our ceremony, we transferred a lot of it to the reception venue.
Oh, that's a great idea. Did you use any outside vendors for the portions of your event that you were able to?
Yeah, I chose to go outside vendor for the photography because with Disney, you have to pick like your top three, and I really didn't like leaving that up to fate. And I just was perusing Instagram and ran into Bella Gray Photography, Andrea's page, and fell in love with her work. I thought, wow, she just like perfectly captures moments. It's editorial yet classic, and it just fit exactly what I wanted my wedding photos to look like. So I was super excited when I found her, and I reached out and she was available that date, and it was great. And then Tia Maria Makeup and Hair, she did my makeup for the welcome party and the day of, and it was awesome. She also does my eyelashes. That's how I met her. And we just have formed a great relationship, and I actually invited her to the real wedding. So she was able to be there for me for touch-ups and everything because she was a guest.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, yeah.
How did you choose your officiant?
My dad actually officiated our wedding, and it was super special. He was so surprised when we asked him to do it because we looked around at first, like what our options would be, what we really wanted in our officiant, and like all signs were pointing to him. He is a great public speaker, like that was pretty much what he did for his job, and I knew he'd do a great job, and like he cares about me more than anyone else really at all. So it just seemed like the right fit. And it was cute because I had my cousin's husband who was in my wedding, and he started off the wedding. He's a pastor in a church. And as soon as my dad gave me away with my mom, my dad traded places with him and started the wedding as the officiant.
Oh, that's an interesting idea.
Yeah, so they just basically traded hands.
Did you guys add any kind of entertainment to the ceremony or the reception?
Yeah, so we had the organist that comes with the wedding pavilion if you have it, or it's the organs in there at least. And then we also had a violinist that was amazing. And then about midway through our ceremony, my dad told us to like look around the room, look at all the people that care about you, and look at the people that stand by you. And then one of my friend stood up out of the audience who's in a band and started singing the song Stand By Me. And it was so touching. And then as the song went on, more and more people stood up and started singing the song as well. And by the end, most people in the room were humming or singing the song. And it was just super special that they put that together for us and sang that song to us and serenaded us.
Hmm.
As it was like in place of our unity ceremony, we did that.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, yeah. If you have good singers, yeah.
Did you have a DJ?
Yeah, we did. Our DJ was amazing. Steve Dunlap at the reception, he kept the party going. It was constantly like different games on the dance floor, boys versus girls. There was a point where I was crawling on the dance floor, and there was a point where Michael was lifted up in the air on a chair. It was wild, but you know what? It was a really good time.
Do you have any menu items or cake flavors that you would recommend?
Yes, absolutely. I'll start with the cake because I loved our cake. We went with the Florida orange cake and it was so good. We had so many compliments on it. We actually, in part of our planning process, got the cake tasting kit from the Grand Floridian Bakery and we made a day of it, went into the Enchanted Rose, got some drinks and tried the different cake options. And that one, I don't know if it was because it was the freshest made that day or what, but it was the best one we'd had. We went with the guava cream cheese filling, and that was super good with it too, but could not recommend that flavor enough. As for menu items for our welcome party, I thought we had a really fun menu. We went with more of like a theme park, kind of welcome, this is what Disney's all about type of menu. So we did the Mickey pretzels with cheese and mustard, Mickey ice cream bars. We did the cheeseburger spring rolls that they have at Magic Kingdom, mini corn dogs, and chicken tenders. So like all theme park type of food. And the cheeseburger spring rolls were like our fancy one from the parks. For the actual reception, I would say the short rib was the best menu item we added. Everyone complimented us on the beef, like it was so good. We also did homecoming inspired fried chicken that everyone loved. And then we did the beer cheese soup from the Le Cellier Canadian Steakhouse and the Cobb salad from the Brown Derby. So we tried to incorporate a lot of different foods from the theme parks because that's what my husband and I do. Mainly when we come here, we eat, drink, stay at the resorts, and we just like to hang out and chill. We don't focus so much on the craziness of the theme parks.
That's a great idea. Can you tell my listeners a little bit more about the welcome party you added at EPCOT and whether you added a ride mix in?
Yeah, we had a welcome party at Epcot. We met in the back of Epcot at like 6:30 and we were supposed to meet around 7, but since it was so cold out, they tried to push us in earlier, which was good because we were really cold. But just like an hour before I found out they were moving us to the Norway Pavilion, it was an awesome time. I'm so glad they moved us inside because we got to stay warm. And then when we got escorted to the firework party, they gave us these fun glasses. I don't know if they give them out to all the parties or not, but when you put them on, it made everything Mickey shaped. So every firework you saw, every light that was around the World Showcase was a Mickey Mouse head. So that was really cool. But then afterwards, we did the Guardians of the Galaxy ride mix in, and it was so much fun. I could not recommend that enough. You know, some people chose not to ride it, but most people chose to ride it. And like one of my favorite parts of the whole wedding was looking in that pre-show room, and we filled the whole pre-show room, and I got to look around and I knew every single person in there, and that's so rare because I ride that ride often, but I will never get to experience riding it with everybody I know in the same room.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and I still am getting texts and calls about like, oh, that was so cool that you did that. That really kickstarted the weekend right. Like that really put us in the mood for everything going on, and that was so special. Like I've never been on a ride like that. And a lot of our guests have never even been to Disney, so a lot of them that was their first ride ever.
Wow.
I know.
Can you give my listeners a timeline of how the wedding day all fit together?
Yeah, yeah. So we actually started hair and makeup 5 in the morning. The bridesmaids didn't really have to be up till like 6:30, but the moms and I were up that early getting started. And then shortly after, M3 showed up and did the bridesmaids makeup, then Bella Gray photography, and then the happily ever concierge also. Nadine did my wedding. She's my wedding coordinator. She's awesome. They showed up around 8 to 9 o'clock, and then we did getting ready photos. We went out to the boardwalk and took some photos. It was so cute because Andrea and her husband T, they're a great team. He went and took photos of the guys getting ready because we got them all matching robes, so the guys got their getting ready photos too. And after that, we all got on the buses to head over to the Grand Floridian around guys 12:15 and the girls at 12:45. We did the first look shortly after that, and then my parents and I got on the carriage, and 2:30 the ceremony started. We did a nice bubble exit. So I would recommend getting those big bubble guns, or at least three or four of them, to hand to a few people, and it really sets the scene for the bubbles. It's a lot of fun. After that, we did the pre-reception. Michael and I actually didn't go to the pre-reception. They pulled us, and we got to just enjoy some time together because we've been together most of the weekend, but you know, you're with everybody else, so you don't get any alone time. So it was nice to finally sit down and talk about how crazy and amazing everything was so far. And it gave us some time actually too to practice our first dance that we had. We took dance lessons, so we wanted to make sure that looked good. And we didn't pay for characters to show up to the wedding, but a Mickey in a graduation cap and gown was walking by and was like, "Do you want a picture?" So we took a picture with him, and that was really cool. It's like, wow, even though we didn't pay, we still got our photo with Mickey. But yeah, after that, the reception, we danced the night away, ate good food. 8:30 it ended. The DJ, Steve Dunlap, made a announcement that most of the group was heading to Jelly Rolls for an after party, and we sent everyone that way. It's the Dueling Piano Bar on the boardwalk. And it was, oh my gosh, Michael and I went back to the room and changed clothes. Then we went to Jelly Rolls, and it was like something out of a movie. We walk in, and people were like the workers were hugging us and saying like, "Oh, congratulations, welcome in. We're so excited to have you." And as soon as we walk in, everyone's like, "Oh, they're here, they're here!" And the piano players break into the Shrek. I thought love was only true in fairy tales. I can't think of the song right now, but it's like then I saw her face. I'm a believer, I think it's called. And everyone was cheering for us. And I'm looking around, I'm like, I recognize all these people. It was like everyone we knew was in Jelly Rolls too. And that's like one of our favorite late night spots in all of Disney World. So seeing everybody in there was just incredible. Like, and everyone looking at us, it was just shocking. I teared up as soon as that song started. I was like, are you kidding me? All of you are here for us? After that, that was it. We didn't do anything really Sunday, but yeah, it was a great day.
Oh, yeah, I forgot to ask, did you do any park pictures with Disney?
No, no, I didn't. That was one of the things we saved on. We opted not to do the park photo shoot just because we got the pavilion, we got the carriage, we did the fireworks show. So we're like, we have all the photos we really cared about. So I didn't really absolutely need a photo in the castle or by the Rapunzel bathrooms, where some people, I understand they really want that. I get that. They're really cool.
Got it. Okay. All right, so I think I might have an idea, but what ended up being your favorite memory of your wedding?
Definitely the ride experience or the jelly rolls, like when they walked us into the area. If you think to what those are at their core, it's just looking around and seeing everyone we know and love enjoying what we love to do.
That's wonderful. When you guys were planning, what were some of the most important aspects where you focused your attention or your budget?
Definitely the fireworks show, showing everybody why we love Disney is what we focused our budget on. That's why we did the fireworks show and the ride experience. Another thing was the photo and video. I knew I really wanted good photos, so going with Bella Gray Photography for the event was just the right move all around. They have such a good team. They handled like the whole schedule of things. I didn't have to really answer any questions. She answered them for me, and it was so helpful.
And then were there any aspects that were less important where you saved your money or just your effort?
Yeah, I guess we kind of talked about it, but the park photo shoot we opted not to do, and then we also opted not to have characters at the wedding, just because when we go to the parks, that's not something we focus on. But like I said, we still got to see graduation cat Mickey for some reason. And then this doesn't really have to do with money, but like for effort, I didn't want to have to make escort cards or anything like that. So instead of like a gift to give all of our guests, we did the escort cards through Disney Floral and did the chocolate name place cards. So it was something they could take home with them, but also it helped them find their seat. So it was helpful.
Now, did anything go wrong or just not turn out like you expected?
The only thing that was super unexpected and things I was getting called about like hours before the event was moving it inside. And they called me like 3 or 4 hours, Disney did, before the fireworks show and was like, would you want to move it inside or outside? Like, you have an option. And I was like, I think I want to keep it outside just so we don't have to tell all of our guests something else. And then they called me like an hour before and was like, so we have to move you inside. And I was like, okay, well, then I guess that's what we're doing. And I just let go. We let it all happen. And it ended up being okay. And I got to thinking if they made us stand outside when it was that cold and chilly out, we would have not made it and the food would have not been warm. So I'm glad they moved us in.
Now, was there anything that seemed like a big deal beforehand or you were worried about and then it turned out not to be a big deal?
I guess like right when we got there in the beginning, the boardwalk had us in the wrong suite. And we ended up staying there because it was okay, but it had two king beds instead of a room with a king bed and then two double beds, which was kind of inconvenient for the bridesmaids because the night before the wedding, we were sleeping three to a king bed. Not like we were sleeping anyway, we were so excited and ready for the next day. But, and they offered to move us. It would just be the second day we got there. So we were like, oh, we'll just stay and deal with it the night before. And it wasn't a big deal. No one complained at all. I mean, we were just happy to be there. The room was awesome. Other than not having the two other bedrooms, like, I have no complaints. The view was great. I'd recommend the suite just for the room, like for getting ready when you have all your vendors in there. It just makes a lot more room to put everybody's stuff and hold all those people in it.
Is there anything you would have done differently knowing what you know now?
So the wedding was Saturday and we left Sunday. And you have to check out of Disney resorts by like 11. So it was kind of a time crunch getting out of there. And when you're getting married, you have a lot of stuff with you. So it was a little stressful the next day, like having to gather all our stuff really fast and get out of there. And your guests are going to make a vacation out of it. So it would have been nice to stay a couple days extra just to hang out in the park, see who's still around, and meet up with them, do a couple things with them. That's one thing I wish I did, but I'm glad we still did come early. We came Thursday before and got to do the parks with people. I just wish we had a little bit of downtime afterwards to unwind after such a big day.
Definitely. Do you have any other tips or advice for future Disney couples?
I mean, I bet a lot of people say this, but do what you want to do. It's both of your day, and how it runs should be completely up to you. Also, get the carriage. You'll never stop hearing about it from your guests. It was so cool. And then one last thing was just to take it all in. Like, I'm over the moon with our wedding, and I wish I could go back so bad and relive it. And it happened just in January, a few months ago. So, one thing I did that I would recommend everyone do is journal. Journal, like, do it religiously, like at night or in the morning when your thoughts are fresh, because as soon as that weekend's over, your memories are going to start to slip. But if you write down how you're feeling and what you're doing in the moment, you will remember things so much better and nothing will ever leave your mind. You'll have your photos, you'll have your video, but you'll also have how you're feeling through the day.
That's a really good idea.
Yeah, I'm so glad I did that.
Well, Emily, I think you've offered a lot of great tips and ideas for anyone who's interested in getting married or having a vow renewal at Walt Disney World, and I appreciate your taking the time.
Thank you so much. Thank you. It was a pleasure. I'm so grateful to be asked about my wedding. I love talking about it.
That's our show for today. I'm your host, Carrie Hayward, inviting you to join me again next week for another episode of the Disney Wedding Podcast. Past shows and tons of photos for each episode are available on my website, DisneyWeddingPodcast.com, or listen in your favorite podcast app. And for instant answers to all your Walt Disney World wedding questions, check out Carrie Hayward's Fairy Tale Weddings Guide, available as an interactive ebook with continual free updates at fairytaleweddingsguide.com.